All right, everything appears to be in order, ladies and gentlemen. I am so sorry for keeping you waiting. I was just going through the trouble of, well, pretty much looking up some new Viva card stuff because I said we were going to talk about it. But let's go ahead and get the formalities out of the way. Had to adjust my tie just a little bit, just a little bit. It can get a little bit tight sometimes. But yo, peoples, Kyushu92 here, and welcome back to yet another One Piece Reflections. It is the last day of September before we move into October tomorrow, so now we get to recount over the 3 chapters that we got during this month, chapter 1024, 25, and 26. All good chapters, including the last one that we just got. But if you will indulge me real quick, I want to see if I can gather some more information on Viva cards that I said we were going to bring up. Because there's a lot of information that is being revealed in these Viva cards that pretty much I'm just now finding out about, such as the name of Kaido's Kanabo and a whole bunch of others. Bit my tongue. And a whole bunch of other stuff. How was my morning? Okata-san, it's good to see you as well. How was my morning? It was good. I rested a little bit from last night's shift, took a shower, ate some breakfast. I'm good. I am set. There's nothing like doing a stream in a nice, clean, washed body. It's a feeling like nothing else, especially when you take a shower and you're clean the whole day. You don't sweat, you don't overwork yourself, and then when you go to bed, it's like sleeping on a cloud. Your body just slides across the sheets. There is nothing like having a clean body. Oh my goodness. It's good to be clean. It is so good to be clean. That's why I'm telling you dudes out there, take showers. Don't skip days. Take showers days at a time. Every day if you can manage. Ain't nothing like being clean. But I'm trying to find some big info. Okay, so here's some interesting details. Very interesting details for Viva card information. According to okay, so here's one thing about Kaido that is kind of obvious to us real quick, but before we get started on these chapters, we're going to run through these chapters, and then we'll talk about these chapters, and then we'll talk about Viva card stuff. But real quick, they have this little tidbit from Kaido saying he was born on May 1st, he came from the Grand Line, and his favorite food is sake. Now mind you, sake is not a food. Sake is a drink. And then we have bored with the world, the strongest creature seeks to destroy it. Due to his unparalleled vitality, no one has been able to kill him, his Viva card description reads. Then you have Yamato, on the other hand, as a 28-year-old female whose favorite foods include one and one and salmon. Now, mind you, her Viva card confirms her gender. According to the latest set of Viva card, her origin is unknown, her blood type is F, and her height is 263 centimeters. Literally twice the height of Luffy. So pretty much putting her on par with possibly Blackbeard's height, because Blackbeard is twice Luffy's height as well. And then it has things about King saying that King is the strongest all-star. In terms of strength, he is next to Kaido. He is also known as the right-hand man of the Governor General of the Beast Pirates. King is so strong, he single-handedly prevented the entire Big Mom Pirates from entering Wano. He's from a race that does not exist in Totland, which is why Big Mom wants to have him. He became Kaido's subordinate because he was attracted to his strength, the Viva card said. He moved to Wano along with his captain and fought with his side during the battle by Kozuki Oden. And then the upcoming One Piece Viva card also reveals why Kaido and King have crossed paths with Shanks' red-haired pirates on their way to Marineford. Yo, I need to find out this information. Viver Card is going to reveal why only, also reveals only Kaido and King have crossed paths with Shanks. Only Kaido and King. It doesn't say that Queen or Jack have. So it's saying that Kaido and King crossed paths with Shanks on their way to Marineford, but Queen and Jack were not there. There is another Viver Card. Didn't Oda say he likes fish too? See, here's the thing. I'm reading it from a site that posted this article on the 2nd of September. There isn't a site where it just lists everything like I would like for it to be shown. Like, I wish that there was a site where I could just see every single Viver Card, because the Library of Ohara does not have it. Because I looked, I checked. Of course, I can always go to the One Piece wiki real quick and see if I can pull that up. We'll get to it. We'll definitely get to the chapters. We'll definitely get to the chapters because I kind of want to find out this. I kind of want to find out this stuff. Okay, so it reveals. Oh, so the Viver Cards have the name of Marco's. It has Marco's bounty. It also has the name of Roger's sword, the name of Kanjiro's devil fruit, the initial design of Izo. There's just so much information that the Viver Cards tell us that the chapters don't. That I wish I could just find immediately right now. I'm gonna have to take a break so that we can go through these chapters. As for, okay, so here's the thing about Queen. Queen is pretty much the oldest out of all of them. Queen is 56, whereas, well, actually it doesn't show, yeah. Queen is 56. King has a bounty of 1.39 billion berries. Queen the Plague is much older than King by a few years, so King is slightly younger than Queen. But Queen is 56 years old, his blood type is XF, and like Kaido, he's from the Grand Line, and his bounty is 1.32 billion berries. That's interesting. And Jack, since he's the youngest, he is 28 years old. I am older than Jack. Has a blood type of X. He is also from the Grand Line and loves to eat cactus steak. Has a bounty of 1 billion berries. The Viver Card also shares a lot of information about who's who of the Tobiropo. Apparently he's 38 years old and came from North Blue. His bounty is set at 546 million berries, and his favorite food is Kaji no Paella. Black Maria is 29. Favorite food is Mitarashi Dango and has a bounty of 480 million berries. Sasaki, another Tobiropo, is 34 years old and has an XF blood type. His bounty is 472 million. Ulti is 22. Incorrectly lists her as his. DS Drake is 33. Used to be a member of the Barrel Pirates before it was destroyed by Doflamingo. Afterwards, he was taken in by Sengoku, where he got the opportunity to be a part of the Navy and eventually joined the special unit called Sword. Left the Navy and joined Kaido to infiltrate the Beast Pirates. Bounty at 350 million berries. Page 1 is 20 years old. Came from Grand Line and his bounty is set at 290 million berries. Favorite food is nachos. According to the upcoming One Piece Viver Card Pack, all of the Tobiropo have both armament and observation hockey. Interesting. All right, let's go ahead. Queen, same age as Judge. Interesting. Okay, let's just go ahead and let me get rid of all these other tabs. But what's going on, D-Struck, Neil Johnson, Ogata-san, Kohagen, and Static? It's good to see you all. Let's get started with these chapters. We start out in chapters 1024, so-and-so, and it has Usopp just lying through his teeth saying that the people who are being knocked out, all the Beast Pirates who are being knocked out on the second floor right now, is because of his overwhelming presence. And some of the Beast Pirates who are still conscious are wondering, does he actually have Conqueror's Hockey? But no, it's because the ripples of Big Mom's Conqueror's Hockey is knocking out Beast Pirates all throughout the second floor. And Usopp's using that to his advantage to intimidate the other Beast Pirates that are pursuing both him, Lady Speed, Tama, and Nami. And as this is going on, Nami is speaking to Frankie, asking him what's going on with Luffy, and Frankie says, I don't know. All I know is what Momonosuke said earlier. Momo should be with Shinobu, but I can't get in touch with her either. And as this is going on, they're pretty much trying to keep the Beast Pirates from getting to the performance floor because Zoro and Sanji are facing off against King and Queen on that performance floor. And all the samurai are doing the same thing, keeping the Beast Pirates from interfering in the fight between these all-stars and the two top members of the Monster Trio. So that's going on. Shanchi, Beppo, and Penguin are doing work as well. They're, holding the line and making sure that no one can get in there. And on the third floor, which is basically where Black Maria was, and when Robin defeated her, Brooke is running away from the burning building, and they're wondering what's going on. Brooke is running away from it, and the Musketeers and all the other Minks are there wondering, what's going on? Evacuate to the performance floor! And Robin is currently unconscious right now. She's out. She's just unconscious. All that fighting she did really took it out of her, so Brooke is carrying her around. With Brooke saying there's so much chaos going on right now. And then it shows the members of Kid's crew fighting on a fourth floor. And Jinbei's there as well. Fire, that's bad. But then who's holding Kaido back further up? And it shows Kawamatsu and the other Yakuza bosses holding off the Beast Pirates to keep them from going to the performance floor. And then we cut to the roof where Yamato is fighting against Kaido using her Nari Kabuta arrow. And it hits Kaido, but it doesn't move him at all. And he smiles. And then he uses a move called Vajra Arrow, which is basically the exact same move as Yamato's, but far stronger. So, this comes into play because this is the moment where I found out that Kaido's Kanabo has a name. It's called the Hasai Kai. Kaido's Kanabo has a name. It's not just his Kanabo. It is called the Hasai Kai. And the last time I heard of the Hasai Kai was in reference to the Yakuza gang from My Hero Academia. But, as a description, its meaning means the 8 precepts. But its description is, the Hasai Kai is a giant heavy kanabo befitting Kaido's size. It is made of a solid black metal with a round cross-section, and features sharp spikes along its upper, bulkier half. The later tapers somewhat towards the slenderer spikeless handle, which itself ends in a suspension ring that serves as a pommel. So this is the moment. It's just like Strong Film, Brooke carrying Robin. Strong World. Yeah, I remember that. But yeah, the Hasai Kai, that is what Kaido's Kanabo's weapon name is called. Kaido utilizes this club for the vast majority of his melee attacks, brandishing the weapon with its massive strength while channeling his Conqueror's Hockey through it. Kaido can severely injure and send foes flying far distances with immense strength with just single blows. He wields the weapon both one- and two-handed, the latter especially for his more powerful attacks while in his half-dragon form. So here's the thing. Kaido only uses 2 hands when he wants to use the absolute pinnacle of his strength. Think Kenpachi when he decided to use Kendo against Noitora. Any other time, he would just use it one-handed, and that was more than enough. But whenever Kaido uses 2 hands, it is always with named attacks and with far more destructive capabilities. So Kaido is basically Kenpachi in terms of how they fight. They fight one-handed until they decide to, you know what, let me just take it one step further. And that one step further is literally, the ground from the sky. And then everything else is just pure destruction after that. Defensively, Kaido can also use his weapon as a means to deflect powerful attacks. Using single swings of the club, he respectively dealt finishing blows to the mighty Kozuki Oden 2 decades ago, the man left severely injured, bleeding, and unconscious from the hit, as well as to a Gear 4th using Monkey D. Luffy in the present, breaking past the tremendous hockey defense of the latter's empowered form, and again, rendering the foe unconscious. And of course, we have the usual techniques, the Raime Hockey, the regular Hakai, which is a combined attack of Kaido and Big Mom, Conquest of the Sea. And then we have his Kosanze Ragnarok, which is Conqueror of Three Worlds Ragnarok, which is essentially him using a two-handed Conqueror's Hockey imbued smash attack while in his souped up hybrid form to deal, massive damage to whoever gets hit by it. You have to be the main character in order to survive a hit like that, otherwise it probably would have killed someone else. And then we have what I essentially just read out in the panels, the Vajra arrow. In Japanese, it's called the Kongo Kabura. An attack used by Kaido in his human beast form. I love reading out the techniques whenever I do these reflections and read out these attacks. I like reading these out. I hope you guys don't mind, but I like doing that. An attack used by Kaido in his human beast form, where he swings forward Hasaikai. It's going to take a minute for me to get used to the fact that his Kanabo has a name now. Where he swings forward Hasaikai to launch a long-range projectile-like shockwave at an opponent. When first used by Kaido in his fight against Yamato, the attack proved powerful enough to violently blow away the latter in their human beast form, despite Yamato blocking with their own Kanabo. Kongo Kabura appears to be a stronger version of Yamato's Nari Kabura technique. The word Kongo can variously refer to adamantine, diamond, or the Vajra from Indian mythology, while Kabura comes from Kabura Ya, a type of traditional Japanese arrow with a turnip-shaped whistle attached. In the Viz manga, this attack is called Vajra Arrow. So, I think Robin being vulnerable leads to the next saga, but who kidnaps or attempts to Robin? CP0, Big Mom, someone not in play yet, Law, a drunk Kenpachi. It could be either. Yeah, it could be. Kanabos are actually kind of heavy. I mean, they're made of pure metal. And the fact that Kaido can use one that is literally able to dwarf the size of regular people, that's how big it is, and he can use it one-handed, it's like getting hit with a truck. A truck that can hit, it's literally the truck-kun of anime. The same old truck that kills the main characters and they wind up dead or isekai'd into another world. That's how hard the Hasaikai can hit people. if you want me to be comedic about it. But it's a pure metal weapon. It's not hollow. It doesn't have like a wood finish or anything like that. It is just pure metal. Actually, you know what? Let's actually explore what a Kanabo actually is. And Alright. So, and when I bring it up, Kanabos are actually quite big. A picture from a samurai holding it, it shows it being almost his size. The Kanabo is a spiked or studded two-handed war club used in feudal Japan by the samurai. Let's see. Description. What is their height? Kanabo and other related types of these club-like weapons were constructed out of heavy wood or made entirely from iron. They were either made with wood or they were made entirely from solid iron, with iron spikes or studs on one end. One or both ends of the wooden-type clubs could be sheathed in iron. Kanabo-type weapons came in all sizes and shapes, with the largest ones being as tall as a man and a two-handed weapon, while the smaller, lighter ones were primarily one-handed and the length of a forearm. So there were those that could be as tall as I am, wielded with two hands, or ones that I could use one-handed. The shape could be similar to a baseball bat with a thick, heavy end tapering towards a slender handle with a pommel, or they could be straight all the way from the handle to the end. The shaft cross-section could be round, as in a baseball bat, or polygonal. That is, it might be multifaceted with flat surfaces arrayed around the central axis. And of course, the mythology is the Kanabo was also a mythical weapon, often used in tales by Oni, since they were reputedly extremely strong. Today, there is a saying in Japanese, like giving a Kanabo to an Oni, which means to give an extra advantage to someone who already has the advantage. The strong made stronger. A Western rendering might be like adding fuel to the fire. It's crazy. Regular people have to use both hands in order to use it. Feels like Kaido's Kanabo is like Doflamingo's glasses. No matter what happens, it always respawns. Here's the thing, though. If you remember a couple of chapters back, there was a visible crack in the Hasaikai. There was actually a visible crack on it. But let's continue on. He uses Vajra Arrow and knocks back Yamato into the far-off distance, saying, with Yamato saying, "You always intended to kill me." And Kaido says, "Yes, that's right. This is not a family squabble. If you want to wear the name Odin, you must be ready for war. This isn't a game, Yamato." And then she says, "Is it a crime to admire someone? I love Odin." And then we get a little bit of a brief backstory of Yamato when she was a child, which we find out she had Conqueror's Hockey since she was a child. Now, here's the thing. Yamato is 28 years old as of right now, which means that she was the same age as Momonosuke way back when. When Odin died and was executed by Kaido, she was 8 years old. Literally the same age as Momonosuke. Because currently, as of right now, Momonosuke is now 28 years old after being aged up by Shinobu's right fruit. So they're both basically the same age right now. But back when she was 8 years old, growing up on Onigashima, she knocked out a whole bunch of beast pirates with Kaido wondering, "Did you do this?" And Yamato, not knowing what she had done at the time, says, I didn't. They just fell over. Saying that she's just incredibly hungry. But Kaido says, "Supreme King Haki, a good sign, but Yamato, if you want to call yourself Odin, then die." So already, Yamato had such a poor upbringing. It just reminded me of Sanji way back when I was reading through Whole Cake Island. And Doflamingo has his glasses even in prison, which this chapter possible, we'll get back to that. But continuing on, Kaido imprisons her inside of a cave, saying, "Stay in the cave until you see sense. I'll give you a month." Literally wanting to keep her in that cave for a full month and see how she fares afterwards. With people saying, "What? A month? The poor kid will really die. Plus, we got vicious samurai locked up in there." And then it has her crying out, saying, "Don't leave me here in the dark." And then there's different samurai, one of them being Shimotsuki. What is his name? Ushimaru? Shimotsuki. I forgot his name. Hold on. Let me look it up. Shimotsuki. Yeah, it was Ushimaru. I said it right. Shimotsuki Ushimaru. I almost got it wrong. But yeah, among the samurai that are in there, Shimotsuki Ushimaru is also imprisoned inside of this cave as well. And this is a confirmation because it has him, it pretty much has the image of him sitting in the cave on his official page on the One Piece wiki. It is, in fact, Shimotsuki Ushimaru. Ruled until the takeover of Kurozumi Orochi as shogun 20 years ago. He was a direct descendant of the legendary samurai Shimotsuki Ryuma. But yes, Shimotsuki Ushimaru is inside the cave along with two other samurai, most likely the daimyos that refused to bend the knee to Orochi way back when. In terms what race someone characters might be. I have no idea what you mean by that, Static. But yeah, Shimotsuki Ushimaru is in there along with two other samurai. Like I said, more than likely two other daimyos that refuse to serve Orochi. And and Kaido says, "This message goes for you swordsmen of Wano too. If you agree to join my army, I'll let you go. You can shout through the vent in the ceiling if you change your mind." And then he's looking at all of them and none of them have eaten, saying, "What? You haven't eaten for days? Then let's have some food brought in. But only enough for one. You'll need some weapons too." You know, pretty much putting up the same proposition that only one of you gets to eat, so all of you need to go ahead and fight each other to the death so that only the strongest can live, only the strongest can eat, and only the strongest can join my crew. That's essentially what Kaido is insinuating as he's throwing these weapons in front of him. And then, as Kaido's leaving, Yamato says, "But father, I'm the child of Kaido. They obviously bear a grudge against me. They'll kill me." And then Kaido coldly says, "But aren't you Odin?" and leaves. With her thinking, "I am Odin, but also the son of Kaido, his killer. I'm smart enough to know these samurai hate me. He wants them to fight to the death over that single meal." And as the samurai get up, they pick up their swords, with her thinking, "But not before they kill me first." And they take the food, and they place it in front of Yamato, telling her to eat. Now, mind you, the way these samurai tend to operate is that a samurai knows not hunger or pain or anything like that. This is the whole motto that they go by. And they're not really bothered by not eating at all. They just give her the food and tell her, they actually say, "Eat." A samurai does not feel hunger. With her thinking, these samurai are amazing, they're not hungry. And one of them says, "Eat up, you picked a heck of a family to be born into." And this is Shimotsuki Ushimaru speaking to her. He's, in fact, the one who mainly speaks to her. Out of all the three former daimyos that are inside this cave with Yamato, he's the only one who actually speaks to her the most. Sure, one of the other ones said, "Go ahead and eat," but Ushimaru is the one who carries on the conversation with her throughout these days. And as she's eating this food, saying, "I will never forget this food for as long as I live. Thank you, samurai." With her saying, "Do you think I could be a samurai too?" And using one of the swords that Kaido dropped in there, he cuts Yamato's chains, saying, "You are Kozuki Odin, are you not? I heard you say it. That man was beloved to all of us." And she says, "Huh? You were friends? What is your name, Sir Samurai?" And Ushimaru says, "What name does a fallen samurai need? Just call me so-and-so." But we all know that this is Shimotsuki Ushimaru. And then it comes to find out that Yamato has Odin's journal. But she says that since the words are just too hard for her to fully understand. And this pretty much shocks the rest of the samurai who are there. And they all sit around and read the journal. Which means that all the events of Odin's life, they all know. Including possibly his adventures with Roger and the eventual log that goes to, Laugh Tale, where One Piece resides. Now, I highly doubt they're going to use that information for anything, but they're one of the very few people that know of Odin's entire life, including his time with the Whitebeard pirates and the Roger pirates, and every single event that led up to this one point. And as they read it, it's 10 days. It becomes 10 days later, with them saying, "Well, it's been 10 days. Yamato, it seems to me that your father might actually intend to let you die. At this rate, we won't be able to see this battle 20 years in the future that Odin speaks of. When that time comes, I'll fight on the side of Wano," says Yamato in her sleep. "I'll have gone to sea, and I'll be much, much, much stronger." Then the samurai, the former daimyo, get up, with Ushimaru getting up and brandishing swords, and they all, using swords, destroy the entire entrance to the cave, saying, "That warms our hearts, and in turn, we will take part in that future battle by ensuring you do not die in this cave. You see, 20 years is too long for the likes of us to bear." And they just, blow open the entrance to the cave. And Kaido is alerted, saying they've broken open the sacred cave, and then it goes back to the present. It does not confirm that these daimyo were recaptured, which means that these three daimyo literally disappeared off the face of Onigashima and were never seen again by Kaido or his flunkies, which means that they are out there in the world somewhere. Either they're hidden really well on Wano, or they left Wano and they're just out there doing their own thing. And we cut back to the present with Yamato saying, "I'm not alone. There are people who believe in me, people who accept me. Why do you steal my freedom? Why do you steal Wano's freedom?" And then Kaido responds saying, because life isn't a series of simple questions with simple answers, you naive child. And this is when both Kaido and Yamato use conquerors in their attacks. This is the first time we see Yamato use conquerors in her attack, imbued into her own Kanabo, and they both strike each other with, Thunder Bagua, Raime Hockey, and that ends chapter 1024. Which makes me wonder, had Yamato actually used conquerors when she struck Ulti the very first time? Had she known how to do that, Ulti would not have gotten back up from that. Because Ulti was taken out by Big Mom much, much later. But had Yamato actually used conquerors with that Raime Hake, she would have been out for a lot longer. Good chapter. We found out many things, like a little bit of Yamato's childhood, the fact that Yamato had conquerors Haki in her young age, and how she's able to utilize conquerors in her attacks now. A lot of good things, including the samurai keeping all the beast pirates from getting to the performance floor while Zoro and Sanji are fighting there right now. But those are not the most important matters. The most important matter is a little bit of Yamato's backstory leading into the present. But that's the end of chapter 1024. Onwards to chapter 1025, Twin Dragons. Now, here's what I'm going to do. Since we already know about the Hasaikai, I'm going to bring up 1025, because there tends to be trivia in these chapters. And I want to make sure that I cover them all. And let me get the last one real quick. Just indulge me. I just want to make sure I cover all my... want to make sure I cover everything. Alright, we're good now. Okay. What's going on, CJ? That's way back in Punk Hazard when the samurai say they don't get hungry. Momo said that. Yeah, this is way back when we first got introduced to Kinemon and Momonosuke. But moving into the next chapter, chapter 1025, Twin Dragons, it has Luffy on top of Momonosuke saying, what are you doing, Momo? Just fly. And Momonosuke is still terrified of heights. He is so terrified of heights that him merely lifting his head up off of the ground is too high for him to be up. Mind you, he's still on the ground when he lifts his head, but his head just being that far from the ground is what literally terrifies him. Saying, I know that, but I need to, but my body will not move. Do you realize how high up I am just from lifting my head? And Luffy, not caring, says, I don't care! Are you still afraid of heights even as an adult? Silence! Hold your tongue! A warrior fears nothing! He says, trembling on the ground. And all of Law's crew is just staring at him as he's going back and forth with Luffy. It's literally just a whole bunch of going back and forth with Momonosuke and Luffy. Like, Luffy wants him to fly, Momonosuke doesn't want to fly, but also says that a warrior fears nothing. He says, while being terrified to even lift his head off of the ground in his, current dragon form right now. Then we cut to the roof, and we see the aftermath of this clash of Thunder Baguas from both Yamato and Kaido. And Kaido actually has blood dripping from his forehead, which means he was hit. And Yamato has a move called Mirror Mountain, which essentially allows her to create an ice-like armor over herself. I brought this up during the reaction, where it functions like Gaara's armor of sand. But instead of sand, it's actually ice, and it breaks apart from Yamato. And then Kaido says, so you defended against it. And it shows Yamato jumping up into the air using a move called Hollow Glacier Slash, which is essentially her spinning at such a speed that it can cause like a slash attack that is also like laden in ice a little bit. It's kind of like a ice imbued slash attack from her spinning repeatedly. It's like a cutting technique in ice, made of ice. And it hits Kaido, and it kind of, drops his head straight into the ground. And Kaido, just getting right back up from it, says, "Look at you, acting like a stupid soldier of Wano. But you cannot escape your bloodline. You are still the son of Kaido. Do you really think any of the samurai here see you as a comrade regardless of what cause you choose to bear on your shoulders?" And then Yamato says, "Shut up. That doesn't matter." And Kaido says, "You have lived alone on this island for years, hopping about the rocks, crawling through the attics, always alone. That is," and then Yamato says, "That's not true. I have friends." I mean, I did. And we see a short panel with Ace in it. And Kaido continues saying, "That's right. There were also those samurai in the cave. And everyone who ever showed favor to you is dead." And then apparently either a beast pirate felt sorry for Yamato, or another samurai was feeling sorry for Yamato, and they were crucified and basically skewered right then and there, like made to be an example of. I wouldn't be surprised if a beast pirate took pity on Yamato, and because of that he was basically executed, with them saying he was sneaking out food for the ogre princess. So obviously it was a beast pirate who felt sorry for her. That kid's still on the run, talking about wanting to be Odin. And then it shows Yamato getting bodied by Kaido, with him saying, "Friendship is a sham. It's all for show. Deep down they fear you. You must rule over others with strength. You are the child of ogres." Yet another reference to ogres and onis. "You are not meant to be friends with humans." That's a very, very specific thing to say. If Kaido considered himself human, he wouldn't have said it that way. Which leads even more into the theory that Kaido is actually an ogre or an oni. Because why else would he say it like that? It's phrasing. Very specific phrasing. Now, surprisingly, when he says humans, that is not in bold. To draw our attention, to pay more attention to that part of the sentence. But it's strange for him to say humans. Like, wouldn't it have made more sense if he saw himself as human, or counted himself as among humans? He would have said, "You are not meant to be friends with other people," or something like that. But specifically humans. But he says, you must rule others with strength. You are the child of ogres. You are not meant to be friends with humans. That is your fate, Yamato." And then it shows Momonosuke finally flying into the air, but the entire time he's just flying with his eyes closed. And this is where we get the next set of panels where Momonosuke is just flying around with his eyes closed completely. Just crashing all throughout Onigashima. Marco said this way back when interacting with both Big Mom and Pero. But Momonosuke is flying through all of Onigashima, just wrecking every single floor. Going into the same floor where Big Mom is fighting Law and Kid. All the Straw Hats seeing Momonosuke flying up and everywhere. Now, mind you, they do not know that this is an older Momonosuke. So some of them have in their head that, what? Is this Kaido? Kaido's there? What's going on? They don't know. They don't really pay attention to it. Crashing through the third floor. So much commotion going on, and it shows Yamato on the roof saying, "Lots of noise going on down there. Must be Linlin." This is Kaido saying, "Lots of noise going on down there. Must be Linlin. I'll have to rebuild the whole castle." And then both Yamato and Kaido have assumed their regular human forms, with Yamato saying, "I'm not done yet." And in the distance, there's Momonosuke. And then, with Kaido looking back like, "Huh? What's that in the distance? What's that? I don't know what that is. What's that?" And Yamato starts to use a move called Divine Swiftness, imbuing her Kanabo with Conquerors again. So she's gotten a full grasp on how to do it now. So she just imbues her Kanabo with Conquers. And when Momonosuke is in the air, he's all like, "Oh no, I'm in the air again. I must get back to solid ground." And then Luffy says, "There's Kaido, charge down there." And that is when Momonosuke opens his eyes and goes straight down. And then Luffy assumes Gear 4th Snake Man. And as Yamato prepares her Divine Swiftness move, Luffy prepares his Gum Gum move. And both Yamato and Luffy hit Kaido at the exact same time with Conqueror's imbued attacks. Because there's black lightning coming off of Luffy's fists, and there's lightning coming off of her Kanabo. Yamato uses Divine Swiftness White Serpent, while Luffy uses Gum Gum Jet Culverine, and it sends Kaido flying backwards. And in a brief moment, Yamato looks over and sees Luffy in his Gear 4 Snake Man form, and then he just goes right back to his regular state. No huffing and puffing, no signs of him being tired from using that form. He just comes back to it, and he's just talking to Yamato like it's like nothing ain't just happened. So Luffy, ever since he's gotten to Wano, has slowly but surely started to overcome the drawbacks, like the long drawbacks of using his Gear 4th forms. Now, mind you, the times that he's used his Gear 4 forms have not been as long as he had tried to use it when he was fighting Doflamingo. But even so, just using it can tire him out because he's just overtaxing his haki whenever he goes into those forms. But ever since he's been in Wano, he's been able to use these Gear 4th forms more and more with less moments of him huffing and puffing and being tired. So now it's getting to the point where he's able to go into Gear 4th as easily as he could go into Gear 2nd. Because remember, at the start of the time skip, back when he would use Gear 2nd, before the time skip, his body would be tired. Because he's essentially, when he causes his body to elastically pump more blood through his body, he's essentially doping himself. Like, biologically doping himself to move at a far greater speed. And of course, when he got done doing that, he was tired. Then when he would use Gear 3rd, he'd have the drawback of his body shrinking down to size. That's no longer a thing anymore. So now we enter into the time skip, and he's able to use Gear 2nd selectively on either one part of his body or throughout the rest of his body, and it doesn't tire him whatsoever. That also goes for Gear 3rd, where he's able to use Gear 3rd without any of the drawbacks. He can even use Gear 3rd and Gear 2nd at the exact same time without any drawbacks from using both at the same time. Now we have him using Gear 4th, which was revealed to us in Dressrosa, and we saw the drawbacks there. He had to wait like 15 minutes in order for his haki to return so he could reassume his Gear 4th form and defeat Doflamingo. And after all that fighting was done, he spent like, 2-3 days sleeping? Because he was that tired? Now we have Luffy using Gear 4th in Wano, and he's able to use it multiple times within days of each other. And he's not suffering any drawbacks whatsoever. So the progress of Luffy using Gear 4th has ascended tremendously. I'm not counting all the times he used it in Whole Cake Island. Here in Wano, you really see the progress he's made with being able to use this form more and more with less and less consequences. So now we have here in chapter 1025 where he literally uses Snake Man and then just goes back to his normal form like nothing happened. And then he's just carrying on a conversation like he didn't just use a form that would normally tax him previously. Luffy has progressed. And then he's talking to Yamato saying, "You were holding Kaido back for us? That's great, thanks." And Yamato is saying, "I'm so glad." And Kaido reassumes his dragon form, coming up and finally coming face to face with Momonosuke saying, "How did you survive, Straw Hat? Who is that dragon? Name yourself." And Yamato is seeing this for the first time, saying, a pink dragon? Huh, could it be? And Luffy says, nothing you do is going to kill me. I'm the man who will be king of the pirates. And then Momonosuke finally speaks up saying, and my name is Kozuki Momonosuke, the man who will be shogun of Wano. And Kaido just grins at this prospect saying, what a surprise. That little boy. But the world doesn't need 2 dragons. And that is the end of chapter 1025. Let me see. It's funny, out of all the All-Stars, Queen's the only one that's human, and there's more prominent interaction, and their more prominent interaction is Kaido laughing while telling a crying Queen that Kurosaki is dead. Marco said this in chapter 992. Let me actually bring up chapter 992. Also, I did not pay attention to it the first time, but the cover art for chapter 1025, it gives massive reference to Belmare, you know, the adoptive mother of Nami back when she was a child. When she showed Nami a shirt that says, I am lion on it, this cover art request that says Nami and Leo fashioning cute clothes for a lion cub, it has that exact same design. So this cover page request is in direct reference and, paying homage to Belmare herself. But let me pull up chapter 992 real quick. Yes, the very first thing, this chapter 992, Remnants, Big Mom is talking to Kaido. Big Mom is talking to Marco. Sorry. Big Mom's talking to Marco saying, she's talking to Pedal's Pedo. Saying, got that Pedal's Pedo? The alliance with Kaido was my idea. I'm sure it was, Mama, but remember, we've all been dreaming of the day you become king of the pirates. Of course I know that. Why don't you kids trust me? And then Pedal's Pedo says, oh, well, that's a relief. And then it cuts to Marco saying, ah, I see. In that case, despite your invitation to work together, it would seem our mutual goal of vanquishing the ogre Kaido is no more. So it's not the first time that Kaido has been referred to as an ogre. Marco has called him that, and pretty much Kaido refers to himself as an ogre and says that Yamato comes from a family of ogres as well. Once again, this could possibly look amazing when animated. 10 minutes with Gear 4th. 10 minutes! So I was 5 minutes over. 10 minutes with Gear 4th, and Luffy has learned how to get into that form and get out of that form without suffering any drawbacks whatsoever. Which means that Luffy has been progressing using this form ever since he was on a Ruskaina. But in this final chapter that we got for this month, chapter 1026, The Pivotal Clash, this was actually a very important moment. It cuts to the Flower Capital, where everyone's still celebrating, with Tengu Maru, Hitetsu. I'm just gonna call him Hitetsu. With Hitetsu thinking about Toko, thinking about Tama, when Tama says, forgive me, master, I can't just stay home and do nothing, with as she's setting off to sea to go to Onigashima. And I read on the Viver card, and her devil fruit is called the Kibi no Mi, literally a Kibi Dongo devil fruit. And it makes her, essentially, the Viver card lists Tama as the natural-born enemy of the Beast Pirates. Because whatever animal is in front of her becomes subservient to her. So that makes her the absolute bane, the official bane of the Beast Pirates. But it shows Hitetsu thinking about and wondering if Tama is okay. And as this is going on, Onigashima is seen floating off into the distance from the Flower Capital. It is not far. It is not far. Remember, Onigashima is an entire island. The Flower Capital, I would like to say, is maybe about roughly the same size or slightly smaller than Onigashima. And you can see Onigashima in the distance. Onigashima is not far from the Flower Capital. it's actually closing in quite quickly. One of the Marys is watching this fight on the rooftop, reporting in, saying, "Up on the roof at this moment, young Master Yamato, bruised and bloodied, and in the air, a sight that makes me question my own eyes. Two dragons face to face, Master Kaido's Azure Dragon, and a pink dragon, and a pirate riding a pink dragon, Straw Hat Luffy. The dragon's identity is unknown, but it is clearly an enemy." And as Kaido prepares to use his Bono Blitz, Momonosuke dodges out of the way, and Momonosuke is all like, "No, stop, I am not here to fight." And like I said back when I did my reaction to this chapter, you are asking the possibly one of the worst people to say, "I don't want to fight you." This dude, Kaido's entire life has been just steamed in nothing but violence. This man wants to usher in a new age of violence. And you come to him saying, "I don't want to fight," as if you're just going to sit down, he's going to chug on his favorite food, sake, and then you're just going to talk things out? It's not how it's going to work, Momonosuke. We are past the point of diplomacy. I choose violence. Everyone chooses violence. That is the only way that this is going to be resolved. But no, stop, I am not here to fight. He may be 28 years old, but Momonosuke is still naive in thinking that not fighting is going to lead to a peaceful resolution to this massive war that is basically going on right now. But Luffy speaks to Momonosuke, and then he jumps off of Momonosuke's back, imbues his arm with armament, and hits Kaido with Gum Gum Elephant Gun, and bodies Kaido, who, quickly gets back up. And what Luffy asks Momonosuke to do was to bite on Kaido and hold on. And Kaido and Momonosuke, still being the scared 28-year-old, 8-year-old minded child that he is still scared, saying, "I can't do it." Then he thinks of the moment where his home was burned down, when his mother was manhandled by Kaido, when he was held out on the roof and developed his fears of heights. He then flies over to Kaido and just bites into him. And just bites down on Kaido. And Kaido says, "What are you doing, boy?" And then, all of a sudden, before Kaido can do anything to Momonosuke, Luffy comes in, regular form, mind you. Regular. He's not in Gear 4th. He's not using any sort of armament haki. He is literally just using his regular form with Conquerors and punches Kaido, who's in his dragon form, straight in the face. And sends Kaido flying off into the distance. Now, mind you, I never said anything about this panel, but Kaido is literally knocked a considerable distance away from Luffy. Now, mind you, we've seen how big Kaido is. We don't know the exact length of Kaido because it varies from panel to panel. Because it's not very often where we see Kaido in his full dragon form in a full-on panel, and we just see him from tip to tail. Not often. I think the only time we saw that is when he was first revealed in the sky to have a dragon form, and the time when he was waiting for Odin, when Odin wanted to take on Kaido way back when. But Kaido is an extremely large individual, especially in his dragon form. He's extremely large, and with that type of height and size comes massive weight. And Luffy just basically punched him into the distance like he didn't have any of that at all. That's one thing I didn't really talk about, but he literally just punched Kaido in the face with enough force to send him flying to the other side of the roof. And this is in his regular state. Not in Gear 4th, not in Gear 2nd, not in Gear 3rd. He just punched him with a Conqueror's Punch. And sent him flying. But oh, the chapter gets even better from here. So going on, it pretty much has everyone reporting in what's going on, and then we cut to Inoarashi and Nekomamushi, where it appears that Inoarashi is, losing the fight against Jack, who has taken on his hybrid form, and it looks like Nekomamushi is losing his fight with Peros Pero, who has been using his candy to, get the advantage over Nekomamushi while Carrot and Wanda watch on. And the samurai still fighting the beast pirates. And then it shows the rooftop with Luffy saying, "That's an Emperor of the Sea you just took a bite out of. Is there a single thing left in the world for you to be scared of?" And then Momonosuke really realizes what he's just done and says, "No!" And then, as this is going on, everything that Luffy is saying is being broadcast by the Mary who's watching all of this fighting go on right now. And then he says, "Then go, you can fly. Go and stop Onigashima." And Zoro and Sanji are thinking like, he said Momo, right? Yeah, you think that dragon? Nah, couldn't be. No, he couldn't have been Momo, as they're still facing off against King and Queen. And Luffy says, "Don't worry about Kaido. I guarantee you I'll win." And it shows Kaido getting up from after being hit with Luffy. And all the samurai are cheering, hearing Luffy make this proclamation. Then Big Mom is laughing at this. "Did you hear that? What a funny guy. This is still the same woman that says you have no hopes of beating that thing." When Luffy says we're going to take down Kaido, and Big Mom's all like, "You ain't going to beat him. You definitely ain't going to beat him." And it shows Tama crying in the arms of both Usopp and Nami. And it shows Frankie laughing, saying, "Get him, Luffy." It shows the prisoners from Udon saying, "Luffy Taro!" And then Kaido, having assumed his hybrid form again, gets up and launches at Luffy saying, "Is there even a single chance you can beat me?" And then he charges up with Conquerors. Then Luffy charges up with Conquerors as well, saying, "As long as I'm alive, I have infinite chances." Now, when he said this, I thought back to when Basil Hawkins kept trying to get the chances of survival of Luffy down to 0, but no matter what he tried, Basil Hawkins could never get Luffy's chance of surviving things to go below 1%. So I just immediately thought that as long as Luffy's alive, he in fact does have an infinite amount of chances to succeed. Because if Basil Hawkins, who can literally read into the future and guess the assumptions of things, he doesn't even have future sight. He can just tell it by the cards will tell. The fact that Basil Hawkins can't get this man's chances of survival to go below 1% means that he has a 1% chance of survival, which means that whatever does not kill him is that 1% allowing him to survive. He basically does have infinite chances to survive. But as they both charge up Conquerors in their respective attacks, they both clash. Now, it's not a regular clash as we've seen before. It's not a clash of two users of Conqueror's Hockey, and you just see the Conqueror's Lightning. That's what I'm calling it. Conqueror's Lightning emanate from their point of attack like you did when you saw Luffy clash with Don Chinjao, or you saw him clash with Doflamingo, or you saw him clash with Katakuri. No. This is the type of clash that we've seen once before, but only from the strongest individuals in the series. We've seen this type of clash between Whitebeard and Shanks. We've seen this type of clash between Roger and Whitebeard. We've seen this type of clash between Big Mom and Kaido. This is the moment where Luffy goes past the point of being someone that could possibly be a Yonko in the future to literally stepping over that threshold now. Because when Luffy and Kaido clash with each other with their Conquerors, the next panel shows the heavens themselves splitting. If that isn't a hype moment from this chapter to solidify September as a fantastic month for One Piece, I don't know what else to tell you. Because we all know that only the strongest people we've seen in the series were capable of achieving such a feat. A lot of people like to downplay it and say, like, Luffy's not young, and Luffy's still not in Yonko territory. I mean, only the Yonko have been capable of achieving this. And only the people who have the strength of Yonkos, were capable of achieving this. If people don't think that Luffy has entered into the territory of Yonkos, I don't know what else to tell you. Because this panel just confirms it. Drawn by Oda himself. He's basically saying, now Luffy can split the heavens. Whitebeard, the strongest man in the world. Shanks, a one-armed man who is still capable of such massive influence that not only do the girls say respective enough to allow him to talk to them in Marijois, but also count Shanks as one of the few people to take on Blackbeard. Big Mom, literally one of the most durable and most powerful individuals in all of the One Piece series. And Kaido, called the strongest creature in the world. All of these individuals have some impressive moniker or some impressive capability that sets them apart from literally everyone else. Kaido, strength. Whitebeard, strength as well, but also had the Gura no Mi. Shanks, his prestige, and literally every aspect of Shanks. Big Mom, her beyond inhuman durability, and the fact that she basically cannot be beaten by regular people. And now we have, and then not to mention Roger. Let me not overlook Roger, who literally was atop all of them as the Pirate King. Now, mind you, Roger was the Pirate King. You cannot, I want to say that the Yonko are the Yonko, but above that was Roger. Because sure, Roger would clash with these guys evenly, but the fact that his title was above them, and the fact that Yonko is underneath Pirate King, and Roger held the title as the, King of the Pirates, and the one who conquered the entire world, conquered the sea, basically. That's just another prestigious thing. And now we have Luffy, who is achieving a feat that only the strongest have been able to do. If people don't think that Luffy is entering into Yonko territory as of right now, they gotta be kidding themselves. Because here's the thing. When I read this chapter earlier, I was literally thinking, When I read this chapter earlier, I tried to tell myself, like, maybe he's not there yet. This is just him getting the capabilities of him showing he's capable of entering into Yonko territory. But the more I think about it, this is an impressive feat. This is something that you just don't push under the rug. This is something that you do not dismiss. Only the strongest of the strong have been able to accomplish this fact. No one has been able to do this except for Yonkos and Roger. So now Luffy's able to do it. So Luffy has entered into Yonko territory in terms of being able to fight in that territory. But that's just my personal opinion on it. But continuing on with this chapter, after splitting the heavens, it also clears the clouds, allowing both... Well, actually, in this same clash, the Mary that was watching this fight is knocked out by the immense pressure of conquerors that is, outputted from this clash that splits the heavens. But in the process of the clouds being, the clouds being split, the clouds are also parted and they clear out the skies, allowing the moon to be shown again. Much to the horror of both Jack and Pero's Pero, where Nekomamushi and Inuarashi assume their Sulong forms and both just body both Jack and Pero's Pero with their Odin one-sword style Nekomamushi uses Feline Frenzy, and Inuarashi uses Canine Cleaver, taking out both Pedal's Pedal and Jack in one singular move. Now, and then it says, eldest son of the Big Mom Pirates, Pedal's Pedal down and out. Pedal's Pedal is out for the fight. Lead performer of the Animal Kingdom Pirates, Jack the Drought, down and out. Both of these individuals are completely out of the fight for the rest of the fight. That's it. You're not seeing them anymore. No more Jack. No more Jack fighting, no more Pedal's Pedal fighting. They're out of the fight. That's one whole loose end completely dealt with already. And in the distance, after seeing Inuarashi take down Jack, who do we have but this twice survivor of being beheaded, Orochi? What is Orochi doing hiding off in the distance? Who knows? But apparently, he's still alive. How is he still alive? I don't know. I hope we find out. But it just shows Orochi thinking, you're kidding me. There goes Jack. But I guess that's not my problem. So Orochi is hiding. He's just hiding. And that's the end of the chapter. And that's the last chapter we get in the month of September. Now, let me see what you guys have been seeing. Anyone think the rest of the Big Mom kids are going to show up? Maybe, but they're definitely not going to have a serious fight. Karma, you are completely right. They'll show up, but it's just like Marco said. When they show up, the fight is going to be over. The tides will have changed. Things will be far more different than they were the moment you get back up here. The moment the Big Mom kids try and show up, they won't be able to do anything because the fighting is going to be over with. Kaido really doesn't dodge a single attack. No, he only dodged one attack. One. And that's when he only dodged one attack, and that's when Luffy tried to use Conquerors in his attack the first time. And Kaido realized what he was doing. He only dodged, out of every single time we've seen Kaido attack, he only dodged one when he realized that Luffy was able to use Conquerors in his attacks. And that was only one time. Every other time, Kaido's been taking it head on. If Big Mom is a tank, Kaido is the tank that eats other tanks. Because he has been purposefully allowing these hits to happen to him, and he just shrugs it off. If this dude does not have an unlimited poise, I don't know what else to tell you about this dude. He's crazy. What Kaido doesn't know is Luffy can defeat him because he is the main character of a manga, and Kaido is the antagonist. Therefore, plot armor. Literally what I've been saying. You're right, Karma. It is plot armor, but it's good plot armor. Well, it's plot armor that works for the narrative. I'm not gonna just up and call it. I almost called it up and good. I almost called it just flat out good plot armor because I mean that type of moniker is kind of suggestive. But we still need to know Mystery Man who's 1% survival according to Hawkins. We still didn't get the Enel reveal. How could Luffy not be Yonko level when he can face Kaido like this? Does anyone know and want to know how Orochi's fruit works? Because this man has been beheaded by several people and he's still alive. He might still have 8 heads. Jacques, I don't know what to tell you. This man was beheaded in his human form. You would have thought that would have killed him, but it didn't. Then he was beheaded in his zone form. You would have thought that would have killed him, but it didn't. This man cannot be beheaded in either using his regular human form or his Zoan form. Didn't he dodge Zoro's attack? Oh wait, yeah, I think he dodged it after he realized that no, yeah, he dodged it because Big Mom told him. Big Mom told him that was a strange sword that Zoro's using, so dodged that attack. And in the process, Onigashima lost one of its horns. So he actually dodged 2 attacks. One because Big Mom told him, and the other one because he used Observation Hockey to dodge being hit by Luffy. So he's actually dodged 2 attacks. Everything else he's pretty much allowed to hit him, and he's taken full force. Oda closed them fights off real quick. He did Karma, and I'm happy because that means that is less stuff we have to worry about. All these fights between the All-Stars and the Tobi Roppo and all these separate fights, they're getting smaller and smaller. All we have left is Fukuro Kuju versus Raizo. We have... Wait a minute. Where's Denjiro? Did I just misplace where Denjiro's been at this whole time? What is he doing? Who is he fighting? Where's Denjiro? It just dawned on me. Where is he? If you guys remember, please tell me so that I'm not misplacing my thoughts. We haven't seen Denjiro for a minute. Is he fighting someone? He couldn't be. Where is he? Hold on. Hold just a cotton-picking minute right now. Hold on. Where was he last sighted? Let me see what this last bit of his information says. Okay, the last thing it says, Denjiro immediately realizes that it is the work of Kanjiro and begins to have skirmishes with the fake Odin, with it, who in the meantime has tried to attack the Scabbards. Thanks to Ashura, the attack at the fake Odin is thwarted, and he heads towards Momonosuke and Kanjiro. Along the way with the remaining Scabbards, he meets Orochi, and they attack him, leaving him dying on the ground. That is the last thing we see. What in the world? Hawkins versus Killer. But Denjiro's not helping out Killer, though. Yeah, the last time we saw Denjiro was in Chapter 1022 in a small panel, and Chapter 1008 before that attacking Orochi. Guess we'll find out in the next chapters. Also, I still think Kaido's Haki has slightly weakened over time since he likely hasn't fought this hard since Odin. I don't know where Denjiro is. Yeah! That is the only Scabbard who has not been accounted for all this time. What is he doing? We have an account for everyone. All the Tobi Roppo have been defeated. One of the All-Stars has been defeated. Pero has been defeated. Kikunojo is, I want to say, down. Izo is taking care of Marco. Nakamamushi and Inoarashi had defeated their respective opponents. Kinemon was impaled through the back. His current state is unknown at the moment. We don't know if he's officially dead or not. Raizo is facing off against Fukuro Kuju. Ashura Doji pretty much, I want to say, sacrificed himself to take the blast from the fake Odin when he tried to blow himself up. But Denjiro has not been seen for a minute. He actually hasn't really been seen ever since the rest of the 9 Scabbards beheaded Orochi when they first ran into him. So what is he doing right now? He's not helping any of the Straw Hats or any of the other Yakuza bosses or any of the other Akazaya with any of the things that they're doing right now, so Denjiro is currently unaccounted for. So now we got another loose end that we need to resolve. But back to it. We have Big Mom versus Law and Kid. We have Big Mom versus Law and Kid. We have Killer versus Hawkins, who still has his life tethered to Kid, making the fight between the two exceedingly difficult on Killer's part. We have Raizo versus Fukuro Kuju. We have Zoro versus King and Sanji versus Queen. We have Luffy versus Kaido, because Yamato's done fighting right now. Why did I go on a separate hand and I still haven't used my thumb? So we still got relatively like 6 different loose ends to tie up. Alright, Drake versus Apu as well. So we're still good. We still got 7 fights that are still going on right now to resolve before this entire fight is over, before it ends with Luffy and Kaido, because that's the last fight that has to be resolved. Everyone else's has to be resolved before Luffy defeats Kaido. But hey, it's fewer than it was a couple of months ago. Remember when I spent an hour just going over the things that haven't yet to be resolved in the past few chapters alone? Now we're down to just merely 7 big fights that are going on with other characters who are currently preoccupied right now. But now we have another issue with the location of Denjiro right now, because I don't remember Denjiro saying where he was going in the last couple of chapters. And that's odd. The fact that while Onigashima's in utter chaos right now, he's the only one who's unaccounted for doing basically whatever. Want to see Lawn Kid versus Big Mom the most right now? As do I. As do I. As much as I would like to continue this fight and continue this clash with Luffy and Kaido right now, forgot to tell you there was an interesting fact about how Ulti and Page 1 joined the Beast Pirates. Is this a Viver card? Is this Viver card information? Waiapu fighting anybody. He's the biggest loser. He's the... He's the 6 times 9 of One Piece? I don't get that reference. But if this is Viver card information, please share. Please share. Viver card information is what I'm trying to actually find right now while we're discussing all of this. Because I can't find a comprehensive data book where it just lists everything, including the most recent ones. Like, I can pull up Viver Card Data Book Season 2, Volume 1, and then just go through there. Like, it gives the information of Kiku, Toko, and Shimotsuki Yasuye. Apparently, Toko is not his real daughter. Toko is his adoptive daughter. And apparently, it is alleged that Yasuye never ate a smile. He just smiles to keep the spirits up of all the impoverished people that lived in Okobore town. And I'm just looking through these information right here. Like, we get the name of one of the nurses that was taking care of Whitebeard during his first appearance. Her name is Tate. New species, Straw Hat Pirates, information saying that Zoro's card does not list him as a Conqueror's user, but this is because these cards were being finished prior to the release of Chapter 1010. Nami's lightning attacks are said to be substantially stronger with Zeus than they ever were before. Then we have information about Tama saying that given her Devil Fruit's ability to tame Smile users, the card refers to Tama as the natural enemy of the Beast Pirates. I talked about that earlier. Kiku... Kiku information. Then Shimotsuki Yasuye. Toko is confirmed to not be Yasuye's biological daughter. Rather, he adopted her after she lost her parents some time ago. In the Devil Fruit section, Toko is said to be a Smile user, however, Yasuye isn't. This essentially implies that Yasuye never ate a fruit, but simply smiled and laughed for the sake of making those around him feel at ease. This is further backed up by the card, which states he encouraged the victims of Smile with a big smile on his face. This is just me, but I personally feel like smiles tie into the larger themes of the story of Smile and Laughter, with them serving as a false form of smile and laughter that clashes with the more natural laughter we've seen other characters display. So, in that regard, Yasuye brought real smile and laughter, making the citizens of Ebisu have a more positive outlook on life and learn to laugh and smile in a real natural way. And even up to his final moments, Yasuye died with a smile on his face, a pattern we've seen in a bunch of different characters, which we now know was a legitimate smile. And that is the information that they have in Volume 1. But if you have more Viver Card information, please Let's see. He's saying that Apu is. Oh, he snitches. Ah. Oh, he's the 6ix9ine of One Piece. That's what you meant. Oh, I'm sorry. I have no idea who 6ix9ine is, other than he looks ridiculous with that hair and all those tattoos and the unnecessary grills. So that's all I know of him. I don't listen to his music. I don't care. I just think he looks ridiculous. That's all I know of him. But now that you say 6ix9ine, I now get the reference. Ulti and Page One's father was a pirate who Kaido knew, and when he died, Kaido took them in. Ulti stole 2 devil fruits from Kaido that the 2 siblings have currently in order to get stronger. So the devil fruits that Ulti and Page One have are ones that Ulti stole from Kaido in order to make themselves stronger, and Kaido had them join his crew. Actually, no. You just said that he took them in. Well, they just became stronger from her stealing the 2 fruits from him. That's interesting. I need to find more Viva card information. I really need to find some more. I need to know more. I need to know more. More Viva cards, please. I need to find out. I'm up on the One Piece subreddit hoping that I could see some... Hoping I could see some information about Viva cards. I'm being very careful, though, because people will post spoilers and stuff. People will watch 224 episodes of Yu-Gi-Oh!, 200 episodes of Naruto, 500 episodes of Naruto Shippuden, 291 episodes of Dragon Ball Z, 131 episodes of Dragon Ball Super, 1,115 episodes of Pokemon, but tell you that One Piece is too long. I like this guy. Whoever put that. Because if you can watch the entire series of Yu-Gi-Oh!, Naruto, Naruto Shippuden, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super, and Pokemon, you can handle watching One Piece. It's crazy, isn't it? But I'm not seeing any information about Viva cards here on the subreddit. I need to find out more. I need a more comprehensive list of Viva card information. Then it gives come on, I need to know more. Oh, that explains why we haven't got any new information. The person who's in charge of... I forgot it. Oh my goodness, I forgot about this. Arthur, I am so sorry. That is so insensitive of me. I completely forgot. The reason why there's no new information... The reason why there's no new information on Viva cards on the Library of Ohara is that Arthur has been under the weather, and he says he's not covering the full Viva cards yet until he's completely healed. I completely forgot. I completely forgot about that. I completely forgot about that. That's the reason why we don't have any new Viva card information, because Arthur said that he wanted to be fully healed. That he wants to be fully healed before he covers the rest of the Viva cards. The only reason why I'm finding out this new information about Kaido's weapon is because I went on his page to talk about his Vajra arrow, and I found out that his Kanabo was called the Hasaikai, and then we find out that Scratchman's Devil Fruit is called the Oto no Mi? Hold on. Scratchman. Let me pull up Scratchman. I had his page up. I had his page up where it describes Scratchman's Devil Fruit. Oto no Mi. Yeah, sound fruit. But I only found that out, but just by happenstance. I'm sure there are a ton more information. There's a ton more information on Viva cards that I just don't know yet, that I really want to know. That's why I'm so desperate to find out more, because there's so much more information, like Raid Suit, Sanji, Enma, and Yasuye. Kaido's age, King's bounty. Actually, you know what? We never did find out Kaido's age. How old is he? He's 59. It used to be where it didn't show his age at all, and we found out Big Mom's age, and we knew that, and we just assumed that Kaido's age was around that same age, but we actually have a confirmation. He's actually 59 years old. Interesting. Well, if one thing I can say is that if I can't find anything on the library of Ohara, I can always resort to YouTube, because there are people who cover Viva card information as well. And this is One Piece, and this is from leaks from the Viva card information. And let me see if I can find any more information. And I mean, let me just put that out here right now. As much as people look up the bounties of the revolutionaries, another thing, in the Viva card, Yamato is referred to as female. I know a lot of people don't want to admit that, but the Viva card confirms that. Odin, her calling herself Odin, is basically like her taking up the mantle. So I know a lot of people like to think like, oh, she's she's a he and stuff like that, and all that random pronoun stuff. She's female. She's female. I mean, she's called the Oni Princess or the Ogre Princess. Despite her calling herself Kozuki Odin, and despite Kaido calling Yamato his son, that is basically in line with her wishes of being referred to as Odin, as much as he hated it. That's due to her wishes. Not the fact that he actually thought of Yamato as like an actual son. So, for any other people out there who still want to think that Yamato is anything but female, hate to break it to you, but that's it. Oh, what a shocker. Never would have guessed. I know, crazy, right? People get mad and upset about that. It's crazy. Now, let me see if I can find some juicy information. Oh, but you also told me to look up the bounties of the revolutionaries. Alright, revolutionary. Let me say this, though. Of all the chapters that we got, these were very pivotal chapters to the narrative. One, we got to find out more about Yamato's backstory, and I need to resolve this. I need to go ahead and clear this up. Concerning the chapters, I need to stay on focus here because I get distracted with so much One Piece stuff. But these were all really good chapters, with the last chapter with Luffy being able to split the heavens being one of the most pivotal moments of character development in terms of Luffy's strength and making him closer and closer to being ready to take on the foes that lie at the end of this story. Because Luffy is going to need the strength that he has against Kaido right now to face off against Blackbeard, to face off against Akainu, to face off against Im-sama. He's going to need all that and more leading up to the big final battle that is really going to require everything he has in order to face. So I'm glad that we got these chapters, and they were all good. I liked it. The pacing was good. I'm glad that we got some fights resolved. in a singular chapter rather than being just dragged out even more, because we've seen that happen with the past couple of, with some chapters early on in the whole Wano arc, or early on during when everything started to go down on Onigashima. We saw that some fights were just continuing on. The pacing, not the pacing of the chapters, but the pacing of the fights between certain individuals were carrying on for quite a while. So I'm glad that we're getting to the point where some of these fights are being taken care of. Multiple fights are being taken care of in a singular chapter, which is good, because that leaves us more room to focus on the real stuff, the meat and potatoes, the real stuff that really, really matters. So I'm glad that all these fights have been progressing as quickly as they have in recent chapters, so that we don't have to worry about it too much. If Luffy beats Kaido 1v1, Akainu should be literal fodder to him. Here's the thing though. If Luffy beats Kaido, that's him beating Kaido with physical strength. Akainu, let's not overshadow the fact that Akainu is a Logia user that uses one of the most destructive Logias, possibly one of the most destructive devil fruits, period, due to its destructive power. He's still a Logia. Still a Logia that cannot really be touched, because he can turn into living lava. So either Luffy learns to use Ryuo to try and punch Akainu without getting close to him, or he figures out something else. Not to mention, Akainu has been shown to know how to be resistant to Hockey, even in his Logia state. Remember when Vista and Marco slashed at him during the events of Marineford, and they both used Hockey in their weapons? And Akainu just walked away from it, saying like, it's annoying to fight Hockey users. But he walked away with no visible cuts from Hockey being hit with him, being hit into him. The only person who used Hockey and was able to injure Akainu was Whitebeard. So Akainu has shown that he's currently the only Logia user who has learned how to resist Hockey attacks somewhat. Now, he's not completely impervious to it. Luffy already knows Ryuo. I don't know what you're trying to say here. I'm trying to say here is that he's not going to get too close to Akainu, because Akainu is hot. Just because he's magma, just because he's lava doesn't mean that, sure, Luffy can get close to him and use Ryuo, but he won't be able to stay close for long because magma is hot. There's still massive amounts of heat coming off of him. He was literally melting metal weapons just by walking past him when he was trying to kill Luffy during the tail end of Marineford. He has to get close. Just because he can use Ryuo doesn't mean that Ryuo shields his body from the intense heat that literal lava gives off. Armament Hockey does not protect you from natural element damage. If you get burned while using Armament Hockey is, unless Gear 4th plus Ryuo and boom, he doesn't have to get close. I don't know. You still have the danger of a completely lava-covered man that has intense heat coming off of his body. There's still that little thing to avoid. That's the only reason why I'm saying what I'm saying. I'm only saying that fighting Akainu in hand-to-hand combat, even with Ryuo, is still a tricky subject, because we don't know if Armament Hockey can protect you from intense cold or intense heat. Gear 5 Awakening, new gear form, he'll beat Akainu easily. We have yet... Karma! We don't know if Armament Hockey can protect you from natural elements, though. We have never seen that used. We've never seen it done before. Like, Can armament hockey protect you from being, I don't know, say for example, you imbue your entire body with armament hockey, and then Sabo out of nowhere just engulfs you in flames? Will that armament hockey protect you? We don't know. And that's just regular fire. Akainu's lava is a step above fire. It is able to smother fire. It burns at a higher temperature than fire. We don't know if armament hockey can protect you from natural elements. That's why I'm saying what I'm saying. But Luffy has Conqueror's Coating Hockey. Yeah, you're right. I'm doing all this talking. I'm doing all this talking, and I keep forgetting that Conquerors can... We don't even know if Conquerors can be a surefire way of avoiding the elements. Does Akainu have Conqueror's Coating Hockey? No. He only, as far as we know, we only know that he has armament and observation. Sengoku is the only Marine that we know of that actually has Conquerors. Now, whether he can use Conquerors with his attacks remains to be seen. Akainu must have something up his sleeve, though, because honestly, the Admirals have been showing nothing but fruit only. Seriously. Let me put this into perspective. Every single moment we've seen the Admirals do something, it has never been full strength. The only way we could know the full strength from just reference alone in terms of how powerful a Logia can be is Punk Hazard. Punk Hazard is the perfect example of letting two Logias go at it for a 10-day sparring match and fundamentally and permanently change the weather of an entire island. One side is permanently frozen. The other side is an eternal fiery hellscape. And that is from Akainu and Aokiji using their fruits for 10 days straight. Who knows, they could have used it, awakened forms of it, and that's why Punk Hazard is the way it is. Because Punk Hazard used to be a lush, normal-looking island. But as far as those types of individuals go, we have yet to see the fullest extent of any of the Admirals or any of Akainu's fullest extent. We don't know the fullest extent of Kizuru because the dude is just so absent-minded. He's just so overly casual with everything that he actually really doesn't take anything seriously. That includes him attacking. The dude fights with his hands in his pockets. That's how little of a threat he thinks anyone he's fighting actually is. All his main attacks consists of him just kicking you in the face. And if he takes his hands out, it's either to just nonchalantly shoot a laser that can blow up a skyscraper-sized tree and incinerate people in the blast. The only time we see him get even remotely serious was when he was fighting Rayleigh. And that wasn't even serious enough. That's it. We don't know the fullest extent of the Admirals and their capabilities because they never used it. We can only see the aftermath of what happens when two of these Admirals go at each other. Like I said, Punk Hazard. Like, we don't know the fullest extent of what Akainu can do. We've seen him, he basically really doesn't have to do much. He can just turn his whole body into lava, and regular people can't touch him. Sure, hockey users can cut into him, but he's learned to actually resist it. Plus, he's able to just create endless amounts of lava that basically melts anything that comes in contact with it. The only thing that we haven't seen it melt was... The only thing we haven't seen his lava melt was Markle's Flames, which he used Undying Thistle, and Shanks' Sword Griffin, and Whitebeard's Muraku Mogiri. Those are the only things that have actually survived the heat of Akainu. Jinbei, sure, he blocked a punch from Akainu, but with difficulty. He was literally getting burned while he was blocking it. But as far as everything else, we've only seen 3 things actually resist the heat of Akainu. Whitebeard's Naginata, Shanks' sword, and Marco's Phoenix Flames. That's it. Everything else has either been melted or, punched through. What would Kizaru's awakening be? Logia awakening better be OP. Look, the thing about awakening is we've only seen awakening from Zoan users, such as the Jailers of Impel Down, and Paramecia users, such as Doflamingo and Katakuri. Those are examples of awakened devil fruits, and they are incredibly powerful. And that's just Paramecia. Logia are the rarest, but also some of the most powerful devil fruits out there. So an awakening of those type of fruits would not be surprised if they're akin to cataclysmic events. I wouldn't be surprised if the world government tells their Logia using members not to use it, essentially restricting them the way Aizen tells the Espada not to use their Gran Rey Ceros inside of Las Noches. Because it could literally destroy all, because a single Gran Rey Cero is capable of destroying Las Noches. That's why they're prohibited from ever using their Gran Rey Cero or even their Resurrecciones in Las Noches. At least those of the Espada of 4 and higher. For everyone else underneath that, yeah, they can use that down below. But for Espadas 4 and higher are restricted to never use their Gran Rey Ceros in Las Noches, otherwise they could very well destroy all of Las Noches. I wouldn't be surprised if the world government tells their Logia users never use the fullest extent of your power, because then we're going to be missing half of the world. Like, think if Aokiji had an awakening that essentially allowed him to freeze literally the entire world. Ice Age. Don't you think Punk Hazard is proof of a Logia awakening? Yeah, that's why I talked about it. It's the clearest example of a Logia awakening. For the elements of a Logia to be permanently engraved on one side, on an island permanently, that it can never ever be changed. That's why I was talking about that, earlier in Kayla-san. I'd love to see Kaido versus Whitebeard and Kaido versus Akainu. Shame that we'll never get it. Oda is going to bring all Logia awakening for the final war. I'm just scared about the moment Kizaru gets serious. See, here's the thing. Fujitora is scary with his devil fruit. Can literally call down meteors from space. Akainu is scary with his devil fruit. Can literally burn people alive under an endless hail of volcanic fire and magma rocks that also explode. But I am sorry, just came in. Kayla-san, you're perfectly all right. I'm just having a big old massive discussion right now because I have the day off. I'm probably going to play some games later. I just recently bought Salt and Sanctuary. I kind of want to have a stream when I'm playing that. But out of all the Logia devil fruits that exist in One Piece right now, Kizaru's devil fruit scares me the most, because the only reason why his devil fruit is so monstrously powerful but also held back is because Oda wrote him to be so absent-minded that he never goes all out. I fear the day when Kizaru actually gets serious and actually puts 100% effort into what he's doing, not being absent-minded, has a steadfast John Wick level focus, and then starts to fight. Because as of right now, every single opponent he's gone up against haven't really been able to stand up against him, save for Marco, and even then he was just nonchalantly just toying with the dude. I fear the day when Kizuru actually gets serious. Because it's clear that he's not only able to move at the speed of light, it can move so fast that everything around him is in slow motion. I mean, think about it. Think back to when he used Yatano Kagami to catch up to Scratchman Apu before Scratchman was even in mid-jump. After Scratchman blew him up and into pieces, dude just casually got back up. His legs got up before he did, and he was all like, wow, that was a surprise. Then he zeroes in on Scratchman, and then just literally... Am I going to get the Castle Advanced Collection that they released recently? I might, CJ, because Castlevania Area of Sorrow was my very first Castlevania game. But if Kizaru will face Blackbeard, then he will be in trouble. After all, Blackbeard is a black hole, and light cannot escape black holes. Light cannot escape black holes in our world. One Piece's world does not operate on the exact same logic. That does sound potentially frightening. But here's the thing. Kizaru is monstrously scary. Let me continue my little Kizaru rant. That's right. Why he's one of my most favorite admirals, because he has one of the most overpowered devil fruits in all of One Piece. So broken that Oda literally had to nerf him mentally in order to keep him from killing everybody. Kizaru's devil fruit is so overpowered that he is able to move faster than anyone can ever react. Before Scratchman was in mid-jump jumping away, he was already on him and kicked him into a building. And in that same instance, while Diaz Drake was watching this all go down, Kizaru blinked from sight and was directly in front of Drake. And if you look at the animation in that episode when he's fighting all of the supernovas, Drake's face does not move, nor does his expression change, because Kizaru is operating in a perception that Diaz Drake cannot comprehend, cannot catch up to, cannot mentally keep up with. And you literally just see Kizaru's foot get closer and closer to Drake's face, and Drake is not moving because Kizaru is moving on a different time flow than everyone else. Us seeing him go in slow motion, it is essentially like Saya La Porograns having that superhuman drug in him that Mayuri stuck in his body, and he doesn't see what's happening in his face until it actually hits him. Kizaru is crazy strong. And that's the scary thing. But yes, Kizaru is crazy strong. So strong that Oda had to nerf him. Because he's able to move at the speed of light, calls Luffy's gear second too slow. Him moving at... Because here's the thing, his catchphrase is speed is weight. Have you ever experienced a light speed kick before? He's already strong. His strength is put in the same degree as being able to stand next to Akainu, who has an equally destructive devil fruit. And out of all the admirals who took a part in the fight in Marineford, he's the only one who walked away without a scratch. Just casually jumping in and out of fights with people, even clashing with Whitebeard at times. Can I say what the Light Devil Fruit Awakening is again? It doesn't have one. Can Kizuru use Hockey? Yes, he can use both Observation Hockey and Armament Hockey. He used a clear example of his Armament Hockey is when he and the other two admirals used their own Hockey to keep Whitebeard's shockwave from destroying the platform. When they stood up with their hands up in front of them, all three of them, that's essentially them using their Armament Hockey to create a Hockey wall or a Hockey shield to keep Whitebeard's Gura Gura no Mi shockwave from actually hitting the platform. Which is actually something that might come into play later. Because think about it. The only thing that has resisted Whitebeard's Gura no Mi shockwave was the siege walls made from Wapple metal. And the admirals combined hockey to create a hockey shield. That is actually capable of blocking Whitebeard's, well, blocking the Gura, it's no longer Whitebeard's anymore, but blocking the Gura no Mi's shockwaves. There is absolutely no way Oda's gonna bring such a concept, such as creating a combined hockey shield to block something that is called the strongest devil fruit in the world, or the devil fruit that could destroy the world, and not have that come up later. Think about that for a second. The concept of, we've seen Whitebeard use that power for literally so much destruction. Almost destroyed Marineford with it. But there was a moment where it was completely blocked. The concept of combining hockey to create a hockey shield to block one of the most powerful paramecia devil fruits in the entire world? There is no way Oda just decided to bring that concept to mind and never use it again. Think about that. Hockey being able to block the Gura no Mi using the combined efforts of 3 admirals, or possibly the singular effort of a master of armament hockey. Who can say? I'm just throwing that out there. Aokiji is also really scary. The fact he lasted 10 days with a Kainu and was at a huge disadvantage devil fruit wise, but must have crazy powerful hockey. See, here's the thing. We know of the wounds that Aokiji suffered due to One Piece Film Z. He's lost a leg, he has multiple burns all over his body, but Akainu suffered grievous wounds as well. We just don't see all of those wounds. We know that he's missing a chunk of his ear, and he has a massive scar going up the side of his face and down his chest. We don't know the fullest extent of the grievous wounds that he left on each other. We saw what Aokiji has, but we don't know of the exact extent that Akainu's injuries are. Because they pretty much both almost killed each other. But Akainu left him alive out of respect. But they both left serious injuries on one another. I highly doubt a sliced off ear or a scar going down his chest is what you would call grievous. So he must have more wounds. And it's hard to tell if there's any wounds on his hands because we've only ever seen Akainu wearing gloves all the time. Let's talk about Kizaru wanting to go to Wano by himself, though. Oh, I brought that up numerous times. This dude has no chill. This man literally said, oh, Big Mom and Kaido are talking to each other? You want me to go down there and kind of break that up? The dude just literally said, do you want me to go down to this unknown country that the world government doesn't know about to stop a meeting between 2 Yonko? Cause I'll do it! While he was casually clipping his nails. Just like, you want me to go down there? I'll go. If you need me to. I mean, it's whatever. It don't matter, but hey, if you like, I can go down there and just kind of clear that up for you. The dude just literally nonchalantly said, I'm gonna go down there. I'll go down there. If you want. That's scary! This man was willing to go stop a meeting between 2 of the most powerful pirates that we've seen in this entire series. Kizaru don't bluff. If he said he gonna do something, he gonna do something. He's a troll, but if he says he's going to do something, unless he gets overly bored, he's gonna follow through. So had Akainu not stopped him and says, no, don't worry about it because we don't know that much information about Wano or what you could potentially be walking into. That's the only reason why Kizaru didn't go to Wano. Because Akainu says, we don't have enough information. If they had even a smidgen of information, just enough to say like, okay, we'll get you in the door, Kizaru would have gone. He would have gone. That's scary. To think of Kizaru finding himself in Wano! Had Akainu not told him, don't go. Because we don't know enough. That's scary when you think about it. This dude Kizaru is by far one of the scariest individuals in One Piece. And he does not care. He has this air of so much lackadaisical nonchalance that it's hard to tell where his mind is at times. Yet he'll also be so undeniably trolly that you really can't take him seriously. Like, they call him the High Admiral. The dude that smokes weed every day. Like, seriously. I don't know why, but I can't see Kizaru seriously getting hurt. Karma. The only time we have seen Kizaru ever draw blood, and it was a slight scratch on his cheek when he was facing off against Rayleigh. And Rayleigh was the right hand of the king. Right hand of Roger himself. And a fight and a skirmish between him and Rayleigh only ended with Kizaru having a small cut on his cheek, which we don't see anymore in the rest of the series, so it wasn't a permanent scar. That is the only injury we have ever seen we've ever seen Kizaru ever suffer. They say Kizaru captured 1,000 pirates because he went to the place where Rayleigh lives and all the supernovas got away from him. Now, here's the thing. Because I'm a bit on a roll with Kizaru right now. I got to talk about my man Borsalino. Let's also not forget that the fact that he took down Arlong, an already incredibly strong fish man, with one attack, and just immediately arrested him and took him to Impel Down. With one attack, Kizaru took down Arlong. And that was before he became an admiral. Alright, so let me go down to his abilities and capabilities. Alright, combat-wise, Kizaru is among the strongest characters to appear in the story, his admiral rank having him and his compeers deemed not only the strongest active marine officers, but crowned the greatest military force of the world government at large. Kizaru's mere presence was enough to cause a mass panic on the Sabaody archipelago, inducing its entire pirate population, including most of the supernovas present at the time, to flee. While on the island, Kizaru was able to overwhelm 4 of said supernovas. It has Basil Hawkins, Mad Monk Urouge, Diaz Drake, and Scratchman Apu, albeit individually with minimal effort, dealing each defeat in single blow after none have been able to do so much as touch him. Every single attack he did when he defeated Urouge by just kicking him through several buildings. Just casually, like, he's just looking at him like, Urouge is watching this fight between Diaz Drake and a pacifista while Diaz Drake is in his T-Rex form. And Kizaru is all like, dude, did you just forget that I was right here? And in that same instance, he's got his hand on his chin and with one foot just kicks Urouge in the side, who is already enlarged due to his retribution ability, kicks him through several buildings. Every attack he did to every single one of the supernovas was one singular attack. The only one out of the 4 supernovas he defeated that he didn't use a kick on was Basil Hawkins. And he waited until Basil Hawkins wasn't in his Goemon Soul demon face form and waited until he was in his human form and skewered him with a laser. And that automatically dropped him. Every other time, Kizaru was just kicking people in the face. And it was more than enough to take them out. Old Rayleigh, not Prime Rayleigh, remember that? Oh yeah, I know. All that for a drop of blood. Yeah, old Rayleigh still was enough to contend with Admiral Kizaru, with a current age Admiral Kizaru, but Rayleigh, who was able to stop Marco with one finger and say that I'm always serious during that one episode of One Piece, debatable. Kizaru isn't as scary as Sugar. In my opinion, she can literally erase your entire existence. That is what I would call a fate worse than death. That is actually a far more horrifying. That's more horrifying than scary. psychologically horrifying. Imagine living your entire life, you get turned into a toy, and then everyone who has ever known you or has ever seen you completely forgets you exist, and you have absolutely no way of reminding this person of who you are because your existence is basically gone. I wish Kizaru's light fruit could turn instead of going straight like Jalal from Fairy Tale. I'm actually glad that it goes in straight lines because, I mean, it's not like he can't circumnavigate that. If there's reflective surfaces, he can rebound off those surfaces and appear exactly where he needs to. Plus, he's fast enough to appear right in front of people who try to get away from him. He's that fast. But going back to Borsarino, let's see. Dealing each defeat in single blow after none had been able to so much as touch him sends one of them with invisible surprise attacks that nonetheless proved completely ineffectual at hurting him. Now, Kizaru has trained his Devil Fruit to absolute perfection, which means that his body will turn into his Logia state the moment he receives any sort of damage. That's the reason why you cannot shoot him with regular bullets. The only one who was actually able to intimidate him was Ben Beckman. Whether Ben Beckman was able to imbue his gun with hockey remains to be seen, but any other method that is not hockey-laden will have no effect on him. Those two pirates who tried to shoot him and think that they were going to get famous, dude wasn't even fazed by the fact that a bullet just went straight through his head, because his body just automatically turned into light on reflex and let it pass through it multiple times. Even Brook and Usopp trying to attack him while he was preparing to kill Zoro had no effect on him either. Therefore, Kizaru entered into one-on-one sword combat with an old Silver's Rayleigh, the former right hand of the Pirate King. Though Rayleigh held the Admiral's entire focus by Kizaru's own admission, Kizaru further conceded that were he to make an honest attempt at capturing the pirate legend, even he would require reinforcement. Both men ended their duel in conjecturally fine condition, Kizaru unharmed beside a small cut on his cheek. So even Kizaru admits that if I were to take you on for real, I would need help. Kizaru himself admitted that if I'm going to take on Rayleigh, I'm going to need a hand with this. So even an old Rayleigh is more than enough to contend with Kizaru for Kizaru to say that if I really wanted to try and bring you down, I would need an extra pair of hands. I would need reinforcements. But continuing on, it says Kizaru would go on before leaving Sabaody to capture a total of 500 pirates off panel. The Summit War saw Kizaru battling, if only briefly, several of Whitebeard's division commanders, including the Emperor's right hand, Marco, and later Whitebeard himself, whom he was able to seriously injure. Kizaru actually managed to injure Whitebeard. On equal footing. Whitebeard and Marco being the only pirates to prompt the Admiral to fight seriously in any measure. Also, despite his more or less constant involvement in the fighting that went on, Kizaru was ultimately one of few people to emerge from the war wholly unscathed, not a mark to show for it. Even as a Vice Admiral over 10 years ago, Kizaru was already very powerful, at least enough so to take down Arlong, a quite powerful fishman, with such ease as to need a mere one attack. Then we have his physical capabilities. I might do these moments where I just read through the physical capabilities of different One Piece characters and compare them, and just think of just how monstrous the world of One Piece actually is. Could sea stone-laced bullets be imbued with hockey too? Possibly. I mean, projectiles can in fact be imbued with hockey. I mean, axe the Kuja pirates. All the Amazon women are able to imbue armament hockey into their bows and arrows. That's why their bows and arrows are so destructive and can literally shatter rock, because they imbue it with armament hockey. So the concept of armament in projectiles is not a lost concept. It's an actual real thing. Whether it can be used in bullets or if people have actually tried, it's not been done yet. It's possible to imbue projectiles with armament, but it's just never been done with guns yet. We have yet to see it. So continuing on, physical capabilities. Befitting his admiral rank, Kizaru's physical prowess is immense, his raw strength enough for him to trade equal blows with an elder yet still extremely powerful Rayleigh, and engage Whitebeard himself face to face, whose bodily might, even in his old age, vastly exceeded a giant's. even pinning down the latter's large naginata underfoot with what seemed casual ease. Because there's a moment in Marineford where Whitebeard tries to slash at Kizuru, and he hits the ground, and his naginata goes into the ground, and Kizuru just puts his foot on it and keeps Whitebeard from lifting it. Generally, Kizaru's melee attack style emphasizes incredibly potent heavy kicks via his ability to move at the speed of light. We'll talk about the Pika Pika no Mi in a minute, and then I'll bring this to a close because I'll be having food coming here in a second, and I want to be able to eat that before I start gaming streaming for you guys later. In terms of durability, Kizaru could shrug off being kicked out of the sky by the hockey using Marco, which broke his one-arm guard and sent him crashing into the ground with immense force without a scratch, though his transforming into light prior to impact may have allowed for this, because he kicked Kizuru, and Kizuru immediately turned into light, and then hit the ground, and then the ground exploded. But he came out of that explosion like, well, it looks like I won't be able to take Whitebeard's head that easily. So it remains to be seen if he was turned into light in order to compensate from being hit by Marco, or if Marco hit him hard enough to cause Kizuru to turn into light going into the ground like that. But I feel it's more of the latter, and he just transformed into light just to avoid actually suffering any damage hitting the ground. Let's see. While most of Kizaru's feats pertaining to speed derive from his below-explained ability to transform into light, the Admiral's coordination of his lightspeed movements, from his kicks to traveling from place to place, with nonchalance yet unerring precision, suggests a high level of natural perception and reflex speed. Every single time Kizaru has shot or done something with his attacks, they have always hit. He has perfect aim. Even with his mindset and nonchalance, as the description reads out, he never misses. He was able to hit the key that was going to be used to unlock Ace's handcuffs from a distance that you should not be able to see a key in someone's hands. And he just destroyed the key. He didn't hit Luffy's hands, he just destroyed the key itself. Kizaru, despite his mental state, has by far one of the scariest perceptions and scariest aims and perfect aims that we've seen in the series. The only other time we see him aim like that is with Van Augur and I want to say Usopp. Looking fly? Well, thank you, Krasmataz. This is my outfit that I wear when I'm doing reflections on One Piece chapters that we get at the end of each month. We're talking about Kizaru right now and why he's one of the scariest Devil Fruit users in One Piece. In terms of his Devil Fruit, and in terms of his skill, and why him having an awakened Devil Fruit is a concept that I can't really even comprehend, because his Devil Fruit is already overpowered. Awakening would just make him overpowered, beyond overpowered, and I just can't formulate how that would actually work. But, going back to it, while most of Kizaru's feats pertaining to speed, the same applies to the strength observed from most of Kizaru's physical kicking attacks that come drastically enhanced in their weight and force by the Admiral's power to move as light, making the natural strength of his kicks difficult to gauge, because every single time he kicks someone, it is always using the Pika Pika no Mi to augment his kicks. We have never seen him use a regular kick against someone. It has always been Pika Pika enhanced to output the most damage. So we don't know what his actual physical strength is pertaining to his regular kicks when they're not imbued. Otherwise, the Admiral has shown impressive dexterity, able to balance himself on a shot-flying cannonball well enough to casually stand on it. It's crazy. It's one of the most out-of-the-world oddball things to do, literally be on a cannonball. Cannonballs fly fast. This dude is able to stand on top of a cannonball while it's flying and just casually ride it. That is how he entered into this. That is how he entered his big formal appearance. Riding on a high-speed cannonball. As well as rather acute hearing, able to notice underwater activity from hundreds of meters away. Then, of course, it has his swordsmanship, able to duel with Rayleigh, and then it has the description of his Devil Fruit, the Pika Pika no Mi itself. Are we talking about scary fruits or users? Because Kizaru as a user is kind of lazy. Kizaru as a user is kind of lazy, but the power he has makes him scary. Maybe somewhere casual anime fans greatly downplay the powers, AP and DP of One Piece characters, and world, and quite frankly anything that isn't DBZ or S. People try to downplay the powers of these individuals here. And we got the strength and weaknesses of the Pika Pika no Mi. Like with all other users of Logia Devil Fruits, the user of this fruit is able to control, create, and transform into an element. In this case, Borsalino is able to control, create, and transform into the element of light. As such, Borsalino is able to use light-based attacks. Such attacks include shooting laser beams from his hands, fingers, or feet, which are capable of causing massive explosions, to partial transformations that enable physical attacks that connect at light speed, which can cause devastating damage. Borsalino's reflexes are so quick that he can transform into light to completely bypass almost any attack, even a gunshot from meters away. He is able to avoid normal attacks by transforming into light, causing the attack to pass straight through his body, like most Logia users can. Borsalino is also able to travel at the speed of light, and is able to reflect himself to any desired location. Silver's Rayleigh has used Hockey to bypass Borsalino's intangibility and divert his attacks. Since his fruit is light-based, some of Kizaru's attacks, like his lasers, can only travel in straight lines. It is also subject to the standard Devil Fruit weakness. Borsalino has so far been shown using this fruit to travel at the speed of light. I do this a lot. I'm just now noticing that I do this a lot. I never noticed that grandiose gesture. Using this fruit to travel at the speed of light to the point of stating that Monkey D. Luffy in his Gear 2nd state was too slow, and to also drastically augment his kick strength and speed. Even though he travels in light speed when mobile, it should be noted it takes a few seconds for him to actually go into light speed. He has to charge it up. I'm doing it again. As Silver's Rayleigh was able to stop his movement by slashing at him with his sword, and Borsalino had to stop to counter him. Borsalino has been using his fruit's power to launch powerful light energy beam attacks at high speed from his legs that can cause tremendous explosions. When shot from the fingers, the beams take on a piercing effect instead. He can blind and stun his opponents by emitting a large but quick burst of light from his fingers, similar to a flash grenade. He can also form a beam sword out of pure light. His Devil Fruit was further researched by Dr. Vegapunk, who technologically recreated his laser blast in the pacifista Bartholomew Kuma and his likeness. This technology was also used by two other individuals, Frankie and Queen. And then we have his different moves. Some of them are specifically in the One Piece Burning Blood game, and then of course we have the regular moves that he uses, such as the Yatano Kagami, the Amaro Morakumo, and the Yasakani no Magatama. Now, one thing that they don't really truly note of is the fact that with him being made of light, it essentially allows him to float in the air. It doesn't note this because he's in the air using Yasakani no Magatama, but he's in the air the whole time that he's doing it. So he essentially can make himself weightless and just float in the air indefinitely if he so chose. Now, mind you, we don't see him fly. We just saw him teleport in the air, use Yasakani no Magatama, and just stay there and just shoot an endless torrent of it all over the place. But here, the Yatano Kagami, literally translated as 8-span mirror, forms light between his hands and reflects it off of any surface he wishes. He then transforms into the light in order to get to his desired location. However, the second time he tried to use it, it was stopped by Rayleigh when he cut the beam of light with the sword. This technique is especially useful for creating light out of nowhere, allowing Borsalino to travel or attack even in the darkest places. And then we have Amaro Murakumo forms a long, very sharp and durable sword out of light and solidifies it. Can also be used as a shield of some sorts to ward off attacks, which was in the non-canon Film Z film. Then you have his incredibly powerful Yasakani no Magatama. Crosses his hands in front of him and uses both hands to fire a torrent of deadly light particles, causing extreme damage to whatever they hit. Borsalino can control the spread of the attack, limiting it to a single person or covering an extremely wide area, which is why the first time he used the Yasukani no Magatama, it wasn't widespread, it was all aimed directly at Whitebeard, but Marco intercepted it. And he can use it over a wide range, which is what he used to destroy all the ice that Luffy and the rest of them were under while Law was trying to escape. It also has great piercing properties, penetrating a thick layer of ice and then piercing deep into the sea with ease. It was first used against Whitebeard, but was blocked by Marco. He used it again with a much wider spread in a failed attempt to strike down the Heart's pirate submarine, the Polar Tang, though the bolts managed to pierce a thick layer of Aokiji's ice and travel deep into the ocean. And then, of course, we have the usual stuff that comes from different video games, like the Amano Iwato, the Materas, which is essentially him putting his two fingers up and blinding people. It doesn't have an official name. It was named in the Pirate Warriors games, where he just essentially points his fingers like in a form of peace signs and emits a powerful flash of light, blinding his opponent or any enemies in the vicinity. That's pretty much it when it comes to Borsalino's attacks. Now, the thing about Borsalino and his attacks is... The thing about it is, out of all of the admirals that have their own epithets, Kizaru does not have an attack that's named after his epithet, because Akainu is essentially Red Dog. Aokiji is essentially Blue Pheasant. Kizaru is essentially Yellow Monkey, yet he doesn't have any monkey-themed or named attacks. He does have one called the Awa no Iwato, which is in the One Piece Higant battle, but that was a game made way back in 2010. A game made in 2010 and only released in Japan. That's the only time, and that's unofficially. What if Kizaru gave Kuma his power through blood transfusion? Do you think that's a thing? Could be a thing, but possibly. Because the way that Vegapunk was able to create his failed Devil Fruit was through getting the DNA of Kaido and then recreating it that Momonosuke later ate. So I wouldn't be surprised if either Vegapunk got the DNA factor, the lineage factor of Kizaru when he had the Pika no Mi, and then used it to recreate the lasers for the Pacifista. I'm doing this a lot too. Used it to create the lasers for the Pacifista. I wouldn't be surprised if Vegapunk did that. And by getting blood transfusion. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's the thing you can do. Think that's kind of too easy? Possibly. But then again, it's Vegapunk. He doesn't really need to always resort to blood transfusions in order to do that things. He's essentially the smartest man in the world. I wouldn't be surprised if he just learned by replicating it and then created a technical marvel that allowed him to put it into every single Pacifista and replicate it in Bartholomew Kuma. I wouldn't be surprised because Vegapunk is just that smart. Alright, his aim ain't all that. He couldn't hit Law's submarine. Yeah, that's true, but he just did it in a random attempt to hope that one of his attacks would actually hit because he had no idea where they are. So he just decided to hope for the best and just spray all over the place. That sounded a lot better in my head. Hope for the best and just... You know what? What I was about to say didn't sound much better either. Hope for the best and just attacked everywhere, randomly. That's better. I find that trying to power scale across different animes is a fruitless exercise. It really is, because their power systems work differently and on different scales. That's why I don't talk about whether Saitama is stronger than Goku or Goku is stronger than Superman. I'll let Death Battle handle that sort of nonchalance out. But trying to do power scaling like that, it's really, really fruitless. Didn't even think about that, but do you think we'll get more government drama? Oh yes, we're definitely going to get more government drama. Because, Kobe was surprised to hear that Kaido and Big Mom wanted to join forces. The main Marines don't know that. The main Marines don't know what's going on Onigashima right now and Kaido's plans for the world. So they're pretty much oblivious to all the events that are going on Wano and what it could essentially mean for the future of the world government and pretty much everyone at large. Not to mention, we still have Blackbeard making his way towards Marijois, because if the newspaper article is anything to go by, him saying like, all right, looks like it's up for grabs now, so let's go ahead and grab that fruit before anyone else. Blackbeard is heading to Marijois to see if he can get Ace's fruit from Sabo that the newspaper would like to assume to us is dead. So Blackbeard is heading there. Think about it. After, you know what? Let me just pull this up. Let me pull it up. Marshal di Tichi. Because I want to be sure that what I'm saying is correct. So let me go down to Wano Country Arc. Alright, so after the reverie, with the release of the news that the world government was abolishing the 7 warlords of the sea, Teach ordered his crew to set sail with plans to acquire an unknown something before the Marines could take it. Now, it leads this for me to assume that he means that he saw the newspaper saying that Sabo is dead, and now he wants to see if he can retrieve the Meta no Mi before the Marines could get it. Sure, he didn't say it by name, but we can all assume that that's what he meant. So, for all intents and purposes, he's sending his crew to Marijois in the hopes of obtaining the Meta no Mi if Sabo is dead. So yeah, to answer your question, I feel like there's going to be a lot more government drama. That's just my opinion. But let me see. What if Kizaru, I think it's way too easy, especially if Vegapunk did it. But yeah, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. 2 hours and 21 minutes of solid One Piece action, and I am glad I was able to share it with the rest of you. My family just got here with food, so I kind of want to help them bring that in if possible. All I can say is that this is the last day of September, and the last chapter we got, pretty much had Luffy splitting the heavens. We can only... Are we good? Everything okay? Are we solid? It completely cut out. Oh, yeah, that's a sign. That's a sign I need to go ahead and bring it to a close. I just want to say thank you, everyone, for sticking around. And, you know, for everyone who stuck around for the entire stream, I just want to say thank you. It is an honor and a privilege for me to do this for you guys. I enjoy this. I enjoy dressing up like I'm part of the Marines and then just talking about One Piece with you guys whenever we get all the chapters within a singular month. It is an absolute honor and a privilege for me to entertain you guys. I just enjoy this. I do. I look forward to this. Whenever I go to my current job, I look forward to doing this. I count the hours of when I can leave my shift and come home and do this because I love it that much. This is where my heart is. This is where my passion is for this. I go hard for this job, but this is not a job to me because I enjoy it so much that it doesn't feel like work. And I'm thankful that I'm able to entertain people like you who enjoy what I do, and I can do this consistently, week after week, days after days, and when it comes to the end of the months, we can have big, long discussions about One Piece like this, or basically anything else. And I can just literally go on for hours if I so chose. I'm just thankful that you guys decided to give me the time of day so that you can help me let this channel flourish and grow even bigger than it already has. It is an absolute blessing to be an entertainer that you all enjoy. And I can't be any more happier for it. So with that being said, hope you all enjoyed. Can't wait to see you all in my next video. And if you're new to the channel and you enjoyed, and you enjoyed what you saw here today, then consider subscribing because I am always looking forward to entertaining you. So have a fantastic day, and once again, as always, later, peoples.